Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. Obiano has finished off Anambra State, made things difficult for Soludo administration. Obiano has finished off Anambra State, made things difficult for Soludo administration, Inter Society says. To my dear listeners from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. The International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law Inter-Society has lamented that the outgone administration of Willie Obiano in Anambra State has made things difficult for the newly inaugurated government of Prof. Soludo, brazenly looting the state's resources. Inter-Society made the lamentation in a press statement issued in Onitsha, Eastern Nigeria on Wednesday, March 23, 2022 and signed by Emeka Ome Agbalasi, Board Chair, Chinwe Umeche Esquire, Head Democracy and Governance, and Chidima Udedunam Esquire, Head Campaign and Publicity. It praised Governor Soludo for exhibiting courage and boldness in disclosing to the world in general and people of Anambra State and Nigerians, in particular the state of finances, debt and other contingent liabilities inherited from the outgone governor of the state, Willie Obiano. These, according to Inter-Society, vindicate the group because Soludo's disclosure corroborated its special report released in Enugu on March 18, 2022, regarding the former governor's lavish spending and looting of Anambra resources. The statement, issued as Obiano was granted bail by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which detained him for 6 days for alleged corruption, reads, the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law Inter-Society is deeply thankful to the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Prof. Charles Soludo, for his courage and boldness in disclosing to the world in general and people of Anambra State, and Nigerians in particular, the state of finances, debt and other contingent liabilities inherited from the outgone governor of the state, William Obiano. These, the new executive governor boldly and courageously disclosed yesterday, 22nd March 2022, during his live interview by the Arise television, monitored in Awka. It is shocking and disheartening that the former governor and members of his cabinet almost grounded and dried up the state treasury and bequeathed the state with huge statutory and non-statutory debt and liabilities. Governor Soludo had, in the interview monitored and analyzed by Inter-Society, disclosed that the state of finances he inherited was not robust and that only 300 million naira or 400 million naira cash was left for him, in addition to statutory debt of over 100 billion naira and undisclosed contingent liabilities, including contractors, debt running into estimated hundreds of billions of naira. The governor also promised to audit and make public the state finances, debt, and other contingent liabilities, particularly from January to 17th March 2022. Anambra State under Obiano was so dried up and emptied that the new government can hardly function in terms of overhead cost and governance basics. This is not to talk of meeting up its statutory obligations to the state active and retired workforce with regard to March 2022 wage bills, but for the state allocations being expected from the Federation account for month of February shared in March, there would have been an industrial crisis or labor strike of unquenchable proportion capable of grounding democratic governance in the state to a halt. It is disbelieving that a state with monthly wage bills running into billions of naira could be bequeathed with such paltry cash deposit of 300 million to 400 million, less than 10% of its March 2022 wage bill. This is also much lower than 13.5 billion naira cash left by court ousted former governor Ngige in March 2006 and Peter Obi's whooping 75 billion naira in March 2014. It is recalled that the Inter-Society had, in its special report released in Enugu on 18th March 2022, statistically disclosed that under Obiano, over 1.61 trillion naira was generated and lavishly spent 1 trillion naira lost to criminal state agents and their revenue collectors in criminal toll collections, with only 240 billion naira deposited into state coffers out of 1.24 trillion naira supposedly generated as IGR tens, if not hundreds of billions of naira contract debt and retirees unpaid emolument undisclosed, 101 billion naira lost to police, military and paramilitary roadblock extortion and criminal bail fees. It was further disclosed that Ngige left cash of 13.5 billion naira, total statutory debt of over 40 billion naira, completed contract debt of over 35 billion naira, and active and retired workforce remunerations and emolument of over 35 billion naira, majorly inherited since 1992. To my dear listeners, now we've come to the end of our today's news. Please do drop by at the comment section and let's know what your view is all about. Thank you for listening.